Okay, that's more than enough.
Rotating cross section.
No, we don't have to rotate cross section. Rotating is always going to be circular, so it's not possible to get rotating in cross section. The only time I rotating is cross section that's very close, but they are not it. It's going to be semicircle, but they're not rotating because they're rotating. They're not really rotating something. So obviously you saw this basic shapes. The shapes are square, the shape are equilateral triangle, and the shape a semicircle. And so you see those shapes. You can, you can rotate around. You can actually admiring that. Um, it looks kind of like silverfish, or look kind of like a fish in some way. If if you cut a slice the fish into halfway and you cut it this way, then you're gonna see a semicircle in each slices. So yeah, so you are gonna see this. Um, this equilateral triangle, this is kind of weird shapes. I don't think any particular uh, organism, plant, or anything, each slice is going to be cut up exactly a triangle. That'd be pretty cool. Or a square. This is a square. Okay. So this is a pretty cool that you can actually rotate this way. You can rotate the other way. It's kind of fun to play with. That link is already posted online. So yesterday we already talked about two things. So the cross section, I would like to add a few things though, because yesterday only had 1 minute. So it can also, I'm sorry, the cross section can be oriented in two ways and few different shapes. So what are the two ways? So orient in two ways. Okay, orient in two ways. One is the cross section, which is the most popular way, is going to be perpendicular. I don't know how to spell perpendicular. Perpendicular to x-axis, which is 99% of question are perpendicular to x-axis. So the difference is basically top minus bottom. And probably you're going to use dx rather than dy. Now, yes, you are going to have a cross section perpendicular to y-axis. Okay, so the difference is going to be right minus left. And this is going to be dy. So there are two orientations. One is perpendicular to x-axis, which GeoGebra only can show you perpendicular to x-axis. To do perpendicular to y-axis, it's basically, is that the same shape? In this case, they are, but some other cases might not be. Now, what are the basic shapes? So basic shape in cross-section. In cross-section is square, which is integration between, I don't know, a to b of d. We're going to call this d is the capital D square and dx. If it's perpendicular to y, it could be c to d of d squared dy, right? So it's basically, you just have to know that d squared, which d is the difference between two graphs. This one's fairly easy because imagine that you have a cross section like this. And this is the difference. Now I'm going to use that to draw a square, right? If I have smaller this, then I'm going to have a smaller square. So it's going to, so square basically the d times d to get d squared, and which is the shape of square. And then we use an integral to add up all the slices of square from A to B. Then we get this value of the cross section. You got us?
Could you say what you mean by like the distance from
The distance to top and bottom is from this point to this point, which is one function subtract the other function. It's going to be from here to here. And we're gonna base on this to build this square because the square is based on how far, what's the distance between those two. Because the wider, you're gonna build a bigger square. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a basic shape. Now we already talked about equilateral triangle yesterday. So equal lateral triangle. Then it's gonna be a square root 3 over 4 d squared dx, right? A to b, or square root 3 over 4 d squared of dy between c to d, because that could be the other orientation. Now you're gonna say, how does a square root 3 over 4 come from? This is actually a SAT things. OSAT love ask that, but new SAT seems a lot weaker. A lot weaker. And yesterday we did a lot of questions. We found out how much weaker compared to the OSAT. But let's talk about OSAT here. The OSAT, they ask those questions. They ask, well, if I have this, right? And if I have this, now I'm going to draw a triangle. And this triangle is equilateral triangle. So let's just say if I draw equilateral triangle here, hopefully this look like equilateral triangle. We know the bottom here is going to be the D. Is that okay? Is that okay? But this is also known as 60, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. Now you can, the OSAT, they want you to do this. They want you to break the triangle, is called perpendicular bisector. A perpendicular bisector is going to build 290 degrees. With a 90 degree, it should build this, it becomes another 30 degrees. And this is another 30 degree. So it's actually 30, 60, 90. In the SAT, if you want to score higher than 750, which is, I know Ria is sitting at 740, you want to go out at 750, 760, 770. The things that you have to do is you have to be good at geometry. Geometry is going to be the difference maker because Desmos cannot do it, right? All the people can figure out a way to do how to do a Desmos question, but how do you deal with geometry? This, you're going to get 30, 90, 60. Then you say, okay, well, this is D over 2. Because it's half, right? Now, it's crossing 60 degree. What makes this side? If that's D over 2, what's that side? D over 2 root 3. Yes, D over 2 root 3. Why is root 3? Because the 30, 60, 90 triangle, 60, 30, 90. This one's going to be x. This one's x root 3. This one's 2x. Right? So therefore, it's going to give you d over 2 times square root 3 over 2. Square root 3. Now, the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 base times height. You know the base is going to be D. Is that okay? Height is going to be what? D over 2 root 3, right? So therefore, it's root 3 over 4 D squared. So therefore, the root 3 over 4 is right here. It's not coming from nowhere. It's coming from somewhere. You have to decide those. You guys look at me like you've never seen this before. Have you guys seen this before? Yep.
How does the height become real?
Because this is the x, this is d over 2. On the other side has to be times root 3. So that's what she figured out. So if you want to be able to get 800, you have to know your geometry, because geometry is going to be a very good difference maker. Or work on a question that Desmos cannot do, because you already know how to figure out how to do the question. But even Desmos do some question on test 4. If anybody's taken SAT this weekend? Tyler? You? make sure you work through all 4 tests. Test 4 is a little bit harder. Did you work through?
Done 3.
You done first 3? So you need to work through the last one. Last one has a lot of trick question that SAT that Desmos cannot do, or it's just a lot of weird combination. So you gotta learn to range of those problems. So Tyler, were you here yesterday?
Practice.
Oh, okay. Did you download the Blue Book on your account? Yeah.
I took the first and the second.
How'd you do?
I like 11.90 in the first one and then 12.90 in the second one.
Ask those people here, like what kind of SAT trick maybe ask Omar that he can teach you, because if he teach you, then you will know how to do all those tricks. Or Isabel. The more you teach other people, the better. So, especially regression. Yeah, regression is very, very easily to do.
Gives you the equation.
Okay, so that's gonna be x root 3. So therefore it's gonna be square root 3 over 4, and that's how that did. Now how about a semicircle? So semicircle, right? Semicircle is gonna be here. And if I have a semicircle, that's gonna have these shapes, right? But this is semicircle. But the difference is actually the diameter. That's the problem. The problem is difference in diameter. If difference in diameter, that means halfway must means what? D over 2, right? So the radius. So semicircle is equal to 1/2 pi r squared. So 1/2 pi. R is what? D over 2, right? Squared. So what did I get? This is going to be 1/2 pi d squared over 4. So that's equal to 1 over 8 pi d squared. So this is 1 pi over 8 come from. That's why A is going to be pi over 8. Between A to B, d squared dx. Or B, C to D, pi over 8 d squared of dy. So sometimes it could be a difference of y, so it could be right minus left. Now, some old tests that you are going to have another type of shape. One of another type of shapes that's pretty popular was a rectangle. You're going to be a rectangle. Yeah. Rectangle. And the problem is this is also SAT ideas, is it confused me. So it's going to confuse you too. So they will say this rectangle, the base is 5 times the height. And you're like, wait, the base is 5 times of 5. So what will be this integration be? We know it's going to be d times d if it's square. But how about the base is 5 times the height? What do you think the coefficient in the front is going to be? Like I say, this is kind of tricky to think about it. You say 5 in the front? No. Yes.
Would it be 1 over 5? Since the base is D.
Very good job. Very, very impressive. It's 1 over 5. Why is 1 over 5? Because the base is a difference, right? Base is 5 times the height, right? So that makes height is 1/5 the base. Does that make sense? So if I were to draw it out, it looks like this. This is 5 times the height. So height is shorter. It's probably like this. Because 5 times. So this is 1/5. of the base, right? This is a D. Isabel, really good. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's 1/5. Now, some old AP exam they also ask you isosceles triangle. There's two type of isosceles. I have no idea how to spell isosceles, so I'm gonna say ISOS triangle. Lake is equal to the base. So isosceles right triangle. Actually, sorry, isosceles right triangle. It has to be isosceles right. Then it's gonna be 1/2 of D squared, A to B. Why is 1/2? Think about it. If you have a graph like this, and you have a triangle like this, but this triangle is the base, right? This is the base. Now this is x, this is x, right? Basically, it's half of squared, so that's why it's 1/2 dx. Is that okay? You can do the 1 dy, but not right now. A very, very last one almost never happened. It happened in 16 years ago. I'm an exam junkie. Like, I memorize. I don't remember your name by next year, but I remember which tests have which questions. I don't know why. I have selective memories. So so I will memorize like when did it happen, how it happened. So I'm not probably the best person to go to like which tests is. I actually collect tests from different region of the world. I collect tests from Canada, IB exams, Australia tests, Tennessee, California, Florida, China, Japan. I look at all different tests. I enjoy to look at a test question, see if I can solve it. But yeah, but the OOAP exam have once asked this: isosceles right triangle leg is equal to the hypotenuse. So that means this graph here is the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is right here. This is the D. This one's 1/4 D squared dx. I don't need to teach you that because I think the reason of that is probably never happened, but it's 1/4. You just had to take my word for it. Yeah, that's all the things. And then you can say, go back to look at the test questions. You can go back, says, okay, well, what kind of cross-section homework I can give to you? Yep. Cross-section, with a cross-section. Okay. Yeah, I will go through this. I actually write down the answers for all of them. Oh, there's answer in the back too. Sorry. So you can start here. There's a second worksheet of cross-section. This you just use calculator, plug in, check, and see if you got the right number. You should be able to find out pretty fast on all of them. You can take a picture of it. I can send it to you. There's a second worksheet on this too. So there's the one that deal with circle. Now, let me just go through one more. How much time I have? Huh?
3 minutes.
That's enough time. Okay, so let me talk about this one. So one of the test questions says x squared plus y squared equal to 4, and they say the cross section is gonna be based on this. But the problem with this one is, what shape is this? Circle. So if I have a circle like this, thank you. If you have this, the only thing you have to think about is this. Most people make mistake. I will tell you where they make mistake about. Okay, I'll tell you where they make mistake about. Is if I solve for y, right? y is equal to 4 minus x squared, and y equal to plus minus 4 minus x squared. Is that okay? That means from here to here is 4 minus x squared. But the problem is that's not an entire cross section, because cross section is just based from here to here. So if I say, let's just say base is a semicircle. So base is semicircle. So then that's gonna give you from -2 to 2, because that's left side of the circle to right side of the circle. Is that okay? And it's gonna be pi over 8. We all know that. Got it. And the problem here is actually root 4 minus x squared, right? Because d squared. What am I missing? Dx, and what else I'm missing? They are 2. Because there's 1, there's 2. And then you can work out the math. Your second worksheet is a little bit like this, so that way you see. Only the last part calculator. The last, do you see that last question? That last question, they're pretty easy. The last question is super easy. And that's actual FRQ. My test is way harder than actual AP exam. Tomorrow's first half, you're gonna have a just kind of go over all the things before you test. Or you can come at tutoring, yeah. No, Bao, we will do it tomorrow. Yeah.
It's quite eventful.
You shouldn't be here. You of all people piss me off. I'm just live stream this. You're pissing me off, Sean. Sean. You were the one that needed it. You keep on looking over stupid money that you work in movie theater. That you can watch free movie. You can watch a lot of movie. You can buy your movie.
That's like $30 per thing.
Guess what? You will make what? If you reach your merit scholarship, that's $20,000 a year.
What's 20,000? Tuition's a lot cheaper.
Okay, fine. $8,000 a year. So $8,000 a year. How long you have to work at the movie theater to get $8,000?
Well, I have 75%, so it would be 2,000.
Okay, 2,000. How long you will take to work $2,000?
Like 20 days.
20 days 4 times though. Not part-time. Do they give you part-time or full-time? Okay, exactly. So 40 days. You could work at 10 days. And that's $2,000 per year, by the way. So it's 8,000, son. That's a lot of dough. You can make that much bread.
8 racks.
I'm locking in April.
He's locking in on April straight.
I'm about to kick your ass if you don't get it.